There is truly an element of growing into yourself. And I think even now, like you're saying, there's such an emphasis on we have to glow up, we have to do this, we have to do that. When you're still so young, it's okay. Like you're not supposed to have it all yet. You know what I mean? Like even me, like again, I think I was so scared to be 30 years old. Oh my God. Like I was so scared. Crisis, okay? And you look at pictures of me in my 20s or 29 versus now, I personally feel like I look younger now and I feel younger and I'm more confident now than I was then. And I would not trade anything to relive my 20s. But there was a lot that had to happen, right? There was a lot of growth and I had to learn and unlearn things in my 30s. And I hear the same thing about 40s. People say like your 40s are the best, like as a woman. So I think with that, it's getting to know yourself. It is just like not caring as much about what people think.
Hello, and welcome to When Are You Free? I am your host, Aaliyah Joyce, and I am so excited that you have decided to join me on this corner of the internet today. You guys, today we have another very special episode because we have a brilliant guest that is joining us today. We have Chelsey Meyer in the studio, and I am beyond excited to dive in with you guys, with her. Chelsey is an interior designer here in Nashville, Tennessee. She is the CEO and founder of the luxury design business, Elliot Interiors. Chelsey is a mother of three, a dancer, an Instagram baddie, and if you've seen her Instagram, you know what I mean when I say that, a Pilates princess, and she does this all while owning and running a successful and thriving business. Chelsey is a mentor to me, a good friend, and I'm just so excited to have her on today, you guys. It's going to be an amazing episode full of so many life lessons that I feel like we can all learn from. She's honestly just like my dream guest to have on to this podcast, and I'm so ready to dive in. So you guys, please welcome Chelsey to the podcast.
That was quite the intro. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God.
I'm really excited.
Oh my God. Okay. Thank you so much for being on and taking the time to be on today. I feel like my listeners are, they have so much that they can glean from your career and just the lifestyle that you live. A lot of people that know you always look at you and they're like, how do you do all of this? Like, how do you look this good? How do you run this business and do everything? And then you're also a mother. Like, it's insane. And so, y'all, these are the tricks of the trade. Tricks of the trade. Like, I'm actually going to be taking notes during this episode. So hopefully you do as well. There's a lot to be learned here. But let's just go ahead and get right into it. So if you don't mind, can you tell us about your early life, like college time and like where you're from? Like, just give people a tiny bit of background on you and like where you came from.
Okay. I live in Nashville, have lived here for almost 20 years, came here for college, but grew up on the West Coast, out in Lake Tahoe. Very small town, 3 stoplights, resort town, very kind of away from what the world is. Could not wait to get out of there. So I came to Nashville when I was 18 and was pursuing music at the time to go to college. And then that kind of got me here. I don't know if that fully answered what you were asking, but that's it.
No, absolutely. I think that's the one thing that I wanted to dig in for 2 seconds is a lot of people don't know this about you, but Chelsey was a touring artist at one point. Like I think that's the one thing about her is she always has lore under lore of her life. Like you're like, oh, you did this. She's like, oh yeah, like whatever. And it's something super casual to her, but like not everybody's a touring artist.
Yes, I have lived a lot of lives. So yes, when I was a teenager, I really wanted to be a singer-songwriter. That is all I thought about, all I did, and did kind of make it happen at that time. So MySpace was it. I managed all of that. Looking back, I'm like, what was I doing? I was homeschooled my senior year. My mom let me do all this, and I was touring around California. I came to Indiana to record my EP. I used coming to Nashville and Belmont is just a catalyst to get me to Nashville. But I was very much like, that was it. That was my life. I did everything. I sang the national anthem at everything at school. It was just, that was it at the time. But that is a different life. And I don't talk about it a lot because shortly after moving to Nashville, I had a couple experiences that just did not align with me. And I think also having been that young and having like a few kind of like blows to my not ego, but just experience around that, I didn't have the like confidence or wherewithal maybe to continue to push through that at that time. But ultimately looking back, that's not what I actually wanted to be doing full time. And yeah,
Your touring
that
days.
was my touring lore.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Again, not a thing that a lot of people do. I want to talk about the transition from that because I feel like pretty soon after you were in that industry and then you transitioned to being into business, like you
Mm-hmm.
that's when you started to be into menswear and sales. So can you tell us about the transition from that and how you got into that?
Mm-hmm. So I would say that it was not in any way immediate. It was not
Mm-hmm.
like a one door closed, another one opened.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up dropping out of college because I was engaged at the time, and my now former husband was a couple years older than me. He was getting ready to graduate. I was looking back at the amount of student loan debt I would have, knowing I would probably have a kid really young. I made a lot of these decisions I didn't feel were supported by society or even my community or family, but to me, they felt right. And looking back, I'm so glad I made that decision because the way that my life kind of evolved from there, student loan debt is like nothing to be, taken lightly. So I had a few years where I got married and had my first and second child, moved across the country briefly as a family, moved back to Nashville, and just got to be a mother, a really young mother. I had my first at 22 and then my second at 24. And I was that's something absolutely I wanted to do, chose to do, I'm happy with, but there was always this part of me being that young too that I didn't fully know myself yet. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I hadn't really discovered, that path more than that, and I always felt like I was always more than just a mother and just stay-at-home mother, and I didn't like having being boxed in. And in a lot of ways, I think circumstantially with us, our financial position, having to stay home with the kids and I wanted to, I felt really limited. And I wanted to find something, but again, when I'm looking for jobs, I tried an office job for a second, it did not work. Did not work for me. Have always been a creative, and going into my mid 20s when I was 25, almost 26 is when I kind of had the opportunity dropped in my lap for working with this startup out of San Francisco, opening a branch in Nashville, and it felt perfect. It was a 100% commission position, very small company. I aligned with like just the look of the brand. We did like custom made to measure shirts, but we were really small, so it wasn't like a stuffy kind of custom menswear thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could work my own timing. It was great. During nap times, I had a 1 year old and I had a 3 year old at home. So I started to do that. And very quickly, I was very good at it. I would say within the first month, I was in like the top three, top five for the month. And I felt like I hardly worked, right? And it was very much a position that worked a lot with referrals and who you knew and talking to them and just having these personal relationships on top of having, a style and making someone feel comfortable and not feeling like they were sold to. And so that eventually transitioned very quickly to a more full-time thing because I was making a lot of money for where we were at that time. I felt like the schedule worked so well with me. And then that just continued to grow. And having been in a small startup like that for a couple years, we had access to, the CEO and the investors, and we were able to help develop the brand and give our advice. And I became very close to them. That just seeing how a business worked, it was also the first time I was really recognized for anything outside of being a mom
Mm-hmm.
or being someone's wife or my past with the music stuff that I was like trying to pull away from. I had the opportunity for people to see me as just Chelsey, right? I was walking into this company and on the front end, like nobody knew I had two kids, nobody knew I had a 1 year old even, like, or I was married. They just saw Chelsey Meyer, Nashville, like on the leaderboard. And then it was like a surprise even more when they would hear, wait, she is, 25 and has two kids and she's doing this and she's able to, how's this happening? Can we learn from her? And I was brought into the company more and was speaking on panels and, speaking on the company calls and was able to advise and like mentor a lot of people to do what I was doing. And, in some elements, like I was definitely like pigeonholed into, Chelsey Meyer from Nashville, and she has two kids. Like, as a way of like, if she can do it, then anyone can do it, and that's fine. That was actually the reality, but it wasn't so much of like, oh, I'm a mom and this is secondary. I really started to grow into myself, I think, at 25. And I really started to develop a different level of confidence, and just having the experience of having a job like that where I was able to like provide any sort of income for my family or myself in a way that I didn't think was possible because I had dropped out of college, right? I didn't have any real work experience other than what I did in college, which was like I worked for Red Bull and I was a nanny. And then I briefly worked in this office position in California. And it showed me really that there are so many different paths and opportunities, and that you're not just stuck, I think, at that point.
No, I love how you just like described that whole journey of just coming into your own, especially at like at that age, and you'd already lived so much life
Mm-hmm.
at that point. And so many people, I feel like they struggle like with their identity and how that's like you play multiple different roles. You're not just, I'm not just a mom, I'm also a businesswoman. And I'm also not just like a businesswoman. I'm a woman in general. I'm a wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of things that go into it. I want to kind of dig deeper into what you were saying before, like when you were talking about having access to people in the C-suite
Mm-hmm.
and like making those sales benchmarks. I want to know from that time in like menswear sales, how that led into you doing interior design. Like what parts of that job propelled you into that where you were like, oh, like even the bad things. So like the bad things, like, oh, like you knew it wasn't for you,
Mm-hmm.
but what skills did you take with you into building Elliot Interiors?
Yeah. So I would say even before I, started working for that company when we were in California, I was looking at going back to school for interior design. And I was immediately turned off because it was like a 5 or 6 year program, insanely expensive. It was not possible. Like I was the primary parent, like I was at home. There was no way that we could do that. And so I kind of pushed that to the side. But as a creative, like I was always moving things around. It was always like in the back of my mind. So working for this company, I think a few things. One, obviously, it showed me that there's a lot of possibilities out there that you're capable of doing. It's just deciding to do it or choosing to do it or just being aware of that, right? So I didn't ever think I would have access to people in the C-suite, or I didn't think like what skills could I teach someone on a panel at like the top performers summit, right? Then I was being asked to do these things, and sure, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome, but at the end of the day, if you're in those positions, there isn't. You're actually doing that. And so that was kind of like the first thing that I carried on later, that I was like, no, I'm capable of this and I'm being seen as this. And there's really no big separation between me and someone on the C level, right? Like they're seeing things in me that I could get there too. And I think that's a big like hurdle for a lot of people. Sometimes we separate ourselves from whoever we think is better than us or higher than us, whether it's a boss or a celebrity or like just a normal person, when at the end of the day, we're all people and there's always something to learn. But more directly with the kind of transition to design, and I ended up working there for about 2.5 years. And a lot of my clients I built long-term relationships with, they really trusted my eye. I think with just styling and menswear, I just continue to develop those skills of being able to see someone's personal style, what they have, what we offer, my own style, and kind of meshing the two, which is something that essentially designing someone's house is very similar
Mm.
to that. But I also had clients ask me advice for interior stuff too, or they'd be like, do you do this too? Do you do this too? And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I can help. I can help. I can do that. And I used in the beginning my resources of like just my client list when I first launched my company and reached out to them first. That was like kind of the biggest thing. I kind of took the contacts that I had and I looked at the relationships I had built. And even if they didn't hire me, they might know somebody else. And that's a big thing too. I feel like we overlook a lot of the direct connections and how a lot of people do want to help people, right? And we kind of assume they don't, or we don't want to bother them, but you'd be surprised with like how many people are willing to help you if you have, a good relationship with them, and even if you haven't worked for them. But that's been my experience over time in general.
Yeah. So it's like, I think that and there's so many people I've heard this a lot, like in the Twitter sphere
Hmm.
kind of recently online. A lot of people will want to be founders. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur nowadays. They want to be a founder, they want to be a CEO, they want to do what something like you've done.
Hmm.
Is like I want to be my own boss. And I think how you just said it kind of starts with the mindset, don't separate yourself from those people. It's like you're very capable of doing whatever that you want to do. So it's so interesting how you just said, like, you started out by just reaching out to people that you knew. So if there's somebody out there right now that's like, Chelsey, I want to start, my own like real estate business. I want to start, like a lot of people are into knitting. Like, oh, you want to start selling your
Hmm.
crochet stuff on Etsy, and you have no clientele. You have nobody. It feels like I don't have a base. Like, where do I start? Like,
Hmm.
how can I start building those things?
It's so funny. I haven't even really thought much about that time with my menswear company in a long time, like over 10 years. So, but that's something they taught early on because it was 100% commission. It was completely sales. And their first thing with the referrals was like, you reach out to your immediate circle, right? Like your brother might not buy something from you, but he could give you a list of 20 people that could. And then you go, and those are your biggest advocates. And so, but at the same time, I think that obviously we are our biggest hurdle in general. I think we get in our own way. And with social media too, we are very aware of how we're perceived. And that can really just block everything. And going back to what I just said with like more people will help you than you think will help you. But I think starting out no matter what, it's like owning this identity that you're creating and your immediate circle, your family, your friends, your mentors, your people that you know that do they know someone? Could they help you? And a lot of people don't even get to that step because we're afraid of somebody close to us being like, you can't do that.
Mm,
That's not possible for you. And that could happen. Someone could tell you that. But does that matter? Like,
right.
is it their life at the end of the day? Like, is it their bank account? Is it their whatever? And I feel like so many people get stuck right there and they're too afraid or they're too shy to even take that first step and just tell someone that this is what they're doing and they'd love your support and whether they could hire you or buy something from you or not. Do they know someone who might? Could they post about you on social media? Could they tell their friends at work that you're selling this thing or you have this program? And that's not that's easy. That takes 2 seconds to do, right? When we really look at it, and it's silly almost that we let that one action block us from the life that we actually are envisioning and wanting to create.
Yes. So you're just saying you just need to start.
Yeah. I think we overcomplicate things and it's just simplifying it and looking at it. What is the next step? Right? What is not, when we look at, I want to create this huge business. I want to create this massive interior design firm or whatever it might be. And you're getting stuck at the end, right? And it feels overwhelming because all these other things have to happen, but it's scaling back and being like, okay, what's the first step? Okay, I've done that. Now what's the next step? So what's the first step? People have to know about me. People have to know what I'm doing. So what does that look like? Does that look like telling everyone we're doing that? Does it look like posting on social media? Does it look like making a website? Okay, pick one. Let's start there. And then just doing that next thing. And I think again, we overcomplicate it and we're great at making excuses.
Mm.
And it's easy for us to find a way like this can't work or I don't have time for this or I can't do this right now because of XYZ. And it's just if we look at the next step, that's just how it starts snowballing.
Yeah. I love how you brought in even just the whole point of visibility,
Hmm.
how you said put the post out there, tell people what you're doing, just because a lot of the time, how would anybody ever buy your product if it's not posted?
Hmm.
How would people ever watch your episode or engage with your content if you never put it out there at all? It's going to, you just did it. Like, you're like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm going to, well, yeah, by not putting it out there, you're ensuring that you fail.
Right. How could
Yeah.
somebody buy something if it's not even out? They don't even know.
Yeah.
And that does lead me eventually like to when I fully decided to take the leap into interior design. I had it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me to say I'm an interior designer, right? I wasn't by any societal means. Like I didn't even have a website yet. I didn't have a degree. I had all these excuses for why I can't be this thing and there's a whole story of like how I even got to that point, but there was a moment where I just decided I was like this is what I'm doing. I'm going to pursue this. I have to start calling myself it. And it made me cringe. Like truly when I internally I was like people would be like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm an interior designer." And like I forced myself to do it. I actually was invited to this like neighborhood moms group dinner, and I didn't know anyone there. And this was an exercise in just being uncomfortable. And I went to the dinner, and at this point, I was still married, and I had told my husband at the time that I was going to do this. I was just going to go and I was going to tell them that, like, this is what I do and see what happens. And I went to the dinner and we went around, obviously introduced ourselves. And I said, I'm an interior designer. And everyone lit up, right? There's like 5 or 6 people there. 2 of those people ended up hiring me and helping propel like my career in the very, very early days. But they weren't like, okay, how are you this? How long have you, what have you, and I said I was newer. I clearly had a young baby. It was a mom's group. I created some programs with them and got the experience, but I put myself in a position to where I really couldn't fail because they had no context for who I am other than this moment. And I said, I am this thing and that's it. And you have to also put yourself there because again, I think it's hard when we're aware of people we love or care about, we care about their opinion and they might be like, what are you doing? Like, you're not this thing. Like, this is embarrassing, whatever. So if that is you and maybe you're not there yet, challenge yourself to find someone, or if you meet someone out or you're at a coffee shop and someone asks, just say you're this thing because you are. It's as simple as deciding it. And if that's what you're wanting to do, like you're an influence, I'm an influencer. Like, who cares? Like, just say it. No one knows any better. And that's the only way you're actually going to get to the point where you believe it too.
That's a word. Take that with you guys. Write that down. Repost, retweet. I'm obsessed with that. Like that, it's so big on the mindset. Now, I actually want to dive now deeper into Elliot Interiors and just about your process. I kind of want to get into your mind. So when you have a vision like of, how you're going to do someone's home, like you have something in mind probably that they're giving you, but you probably also have your own vision of how you're like, how I'm going to make this come to life. So how does that happen? What's the process from meeting the client, having that first like consultation call to making it the home of their dreams?
So it's definitely a process. I would say a mixed bag of sorts. So this is going to assume that this is a client that's aligned with like my process and my design eye to an extent, but every single client isn't going to be 100% in your aesthetic. I mean, budget plays a role, their scope plays a role, what they're keeping plays a role. And so after I go and I meet them, I definitely want to see their inspiration photos. I love to see that. I love to see what they're actually drawn to. And if they can pinpoint, this is what I love about this room. Most people can't. They're just like, I like how it feels. But then if I was like, can you tell me specifically? They're like, well, I don't love that exact pillow, but they love the overall feeling of the room and the look. That's important because people can get stuck on individual pieces. And then seeing their space, going through it, walking through it, kind of seeing the problem areas or seeing kind of, okay, this is making sense why this isn't fully meshing together. And then on top of that, obviously budget plays a big role in what we can do or what we need to prioritize. And from that, I then kind of mix everything into a cocktail and produce designs and direction for them that can fit all of those things in a way that's comfortable and that gets them to the end goal. And that's the simple equation of it. Obviously, it's very nuanced and there's multi levels there, but that's really how I approach it. I don't approach it from, you have to do everything I say. I even say that when I first propose a design to them, I always have rounds of revisions, but I want them to give me feedback. I want to know what they don't like, right? I'm like, be specific. Don't be afraid to hurt my feelings. You won't hurt my feelings. This is your home. This is your money. It is my job to give you what you're looking for. And even if I feel like maybe there's some, where I'm not quite understanding what they're getting at, or they feel, I don't want them to feel like, oh, I don't want to tell her, and or it's not going to hurt my feelings. And I think sometimes in creative fields or where people feel like they're an artist, they can get a little into their ego side of it. But for me, it's so, I don't know, it's like affirming, but it's also energizing when you get them a space, even if it wasn't something I initially designed that was like fully my aesthetic and my design, it's fitting for them and they love it. Like there's nothing better than when I get a response that they're like, this is perfect. I love this. We've nailed it. And it becomes, I don't know, for me, design is so valuable because it is like the background of their life. And I love seeing posts years later of their families and their kids, and they still have things that I picked out in their home, because it's truly like the canvas of what everything. I take it very seriously. I think I'm honored to work with clients who bring me in and trust me to do that. And I could just keep going on about this, but I think I veered away from the question, but I hope that answered that a little bit.
No, I think that as you were veering away, you're just so passionate about what you do is what's reading. I even love how you described, I've never heard anybody say that about interior design, is that you are designing the background to someone's life. That's very poetic. I am curious to know how you pull your inspiration,
Mhm.
because the client has a style of vision, but you also have your own signature, the thing that makes it Elliot Interiors. So how would you describe that, and where are you pulling that
Mhm.
inspiration from?
This is something I think is an ever evolving beast. And I currently am pulling a lot of inspiration from, honestly, people who are not designers. In like current day, like today, if I was gonna be like, I need to be inspired, right? If we're talking technically, like, or technical terms, I'm looking at Pinterest, I'm looking at TikTok, I'm looking at people who live in old rentals. How are they being creative? How are they pulling different eras of different styles and all of that? I think for a long time, the design world really went towards this like minimal, organic farmhouse look, right? Everything looks the same. That's why every new build right now is the same, but we are moving away from that because people have lost their individuality. And most clients, when I get an inquiry form, are saying, we bought this new build 5 years ago and it's all gray and it's all white and it has light floors and we feel bored and we never got around to decorating and we need help and we want to bring personality back. So for me, I think, and I definitely was that too. Like back when that was like trendy, that was most of it. And white walls, great. My house, most of my house is white. Like that's no shade on
Mm.
anything. But for me, I've been finding a lot of inspiration seeing how creative people can be and what spaces they have. And so when I look at, people who, especially like it's very specific, but like renters in like New York City apartments or old homes that have a lot of character and quirks about them, and how are they bringing in little moments that feel intentional but they're not overthought. I think a lot of times with new builds and luxury design and people who have a lot of money to spend, which is amazing and gives us a lot of flexibility, we it's too perfect. And I think a lot of people want to move away from like that very pristine, over designed, perfect look. I definitely am not a designer that wants to or can naturally give this, like, it looks over designed. I want to give a space that feels like they curated it over 20 years,
Yeah.
right? It's even if it's not, even if everything is new, no one would know the difference because we've layered in these personal touches, we've layered in patterns where it doesn't feel like we looked at every single thing on an invoice and we like it just almost, there's some imperfections in a way, but it feels like them and it feels inspiring and it feels comfortable and like home. And that's kind of where I've been pulling a lot. I think my overall aesthetic, though, color wise, like I just coming from a mountain town, like I just think pulling from nature is so important. I just think as humans, we always feel better when we're outside. And so that's something I pull in a lot in terms of colors. I like to use natural materials as much as possible. But I also, again, don't want to do things that are too trendy and that are too, I don't know, stuffy. And so I do mix a lot of things, and maybe individual pieces to a client might feel scary or confusing, but this is going back to that first inspo photo idea, is that you have to look at the full result, how the room feels and looks rather than each piece. And that's how we create these really cool spaces.
Yeah, you're really looking at it as a whole,
Hmm.
like everything about it from beginning to end. So now I'm really curious to know, for your ideal client, I think it's like, oh, what's best is for somebody to come in and they have 100 different inspo photos and they
Hmm.
know that I want exactly this, exactly this. Or is it better to come in with a blank slate? Is it somewhere in the middle? Like, what's your dream client situation?
Okay, I would say a bit in the middle, maybe leaning a little bit more to the open-ended side. I think the problem is when we come in with a million inspo photos, that can be, unless they're very clear. And I'm really good at kind of looking at a big handful of things and seeing the common thread of what I think that they are liking about each piece. But it's going back to them being too specific about certain items makes it really difficult to put together something that they'll be happy with. Having some flexibility there is nice. I will say it's almost equally as challenging if someone comes in and they're like, I really don't know. I don't really know what I think I know what I like, but then I don't, and they're not as sure. Because how can I, and so I'll work with them as much as I can to try to get what I think they might like. And that also comes into play with talking to them, looking at how they live, how many kids they have, if they have dogs, what colors they like. But that does take a little bit more work to get us into a direction that feels comfortable for them. But yeah, I guess my dream client is someone who has a maybe has like a bit of a flexibility. They're like, we want to kind of push things a little bit, but I have a good sense of, where I'm going, but they also have to like what I do naturally. Like they have to already be like, I really love, even if it's not fully aligned. Because again, my portfolio is not all those rooms weren't things that I initially proposed, right? They've kind of moved and shifted and changed based on what furniture we were keeping in the client's house, their budget, what they liked, also mixed with my style. So the client has to already really like what they see that I do. And on top of that, when I am better at posting on social media, I do like to post a lot of my own inspo photos that I'm finding of spaces because I think that that helps give a direction of like what I am capable of, what I like, what I see, and that can pull people in. I'm not posting those on my feed. These are like story posts because I can only post so many of my same portfolio photos where I'm like, oh, but this isn't fully like what I would have done if I had the full reign, essentially. But it's not for me. Those are designs for clients. And so there's a little bit of a difference there.
Right. Right. I think I see what you're saying. Everything that you do, it's a balance, like a give and take in what you're doing. So, dream client, what about your dream project? Like something
Mm,
that you're like, I am dying to do. This is my ideal scenario. Like this is in your on your dream board and like that you want to do.
yes. Manifesting
Yeah.
this. Dream projects would be somewhat of a historic renovation. I will always love to do a new build, but I love doing renovations. I love trying to keep the character and trying to build onto something that's already there without, starting over. And, a lot of these older houses were built better than what we're seeing now. So I'd love to do a large scale historic renovation with a client that is open-minded, creative, loves color, has the budget to do it right, and lets me kind of have a touch on everything from, the outside landscaping to all of the little details throughout. And then on top of that, I would love to furnish and style it as well. That would be my absolute dream project. So if you're out there, let me know.
Elliot Interiors, follow her on Instagram. It'll be linked below. Yes, that sounds like a dream job to me. Just the way that you're describing it. I'm not an interior designer, but I want to be on that
Hmm.
project. That sounds amazing. And I love how you talked about, which that's something that even if you're not an interior designer, you can see that is true of a lot of homes and buildings is
Hmm.
the loss of character in a lot of people. Like, why does everything look the same in
Hmm.
even commercial buildings? It's everything just lacks soul. And I love how you're one of those people that's saying, let's breathe life back into this and individuality.
Hmm.
And even just the fact that you're pulling inspiration from people that are not designers, trying to bring something different to the table is something I feel like that we all need, even if we're not in that business. I just love the whole concept of that. Now, I feel like you've already talked about this in multiple different ways, but I just want to hear, just in your own package perspective, what you love most about what you do. I feel like we've gotten
Mm.
tidbits, but if you could just say like one thing, what do you love most?
I do feel like it's hard to name one thing. It really
Yeah.
is. I think what I love most is, can I do two answers?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. It's
Two
allowed. It's
categories.
allowed. It's allowed.
I will revisit and say the thing I love most on the client facing side is the reward of seeing them love their home. I think that, I'm really big into energy and just the feeling, and I think it affects every aspect of our lives, our relationships, our work, everything. So seeing them be very happy with a space that I got to create or had a hand in is very rewarding. And that is absolutely the part I love the most and take the most seriously. I don't see clients as just a dollar sign or an opportunity. I love to get them to that end goal. And I really, again, take it so seriously because it affects everything about them. The part of design that I love the most is the creative aspect. I think that there's so many cool fabrics and other creatives in the industry that are creating these like furniture pieces. I'm dealing with art, I'm dealing with paint colors, I'm dealing with details in the trim, I'm dealing with rugs that are vintage. Like there's so many different creatives that are in the space, and I'm constantly learning, evolving, growing, you know, being inspired by even just how a couch was made. Like I love that part of it. And that's just the selfish part of it. But not selfish, but that's my personal favorite part is just the designing aspect of it.
Yeah, well, on the one end, and I love that you did do the two parts because you are ultimately there to serve your client
Mm-hmm.
and to bring them like what they're seeking you out for is like they want that background to their lives and that brings them like serenity or joy because your environment affects your mental and like we've talked about this
Mm-hmm.
on other episodes how it affects your mood so much and your mental health and but there's also the side you're still self-developing
Mm-hmm.
as you're like I've never arrived like you're always learning and I think that that's so important in any field that you're in whatever you're pursuing is you always need to be learning because you're otherwise you reach a place of
Oh,
stagnancy.
yeah. I don't even think that, I think that that mindset too of like, once I get to becoming an expert, there's nothing else to learn is what kills
Mm.
businesses. I think that I've seen, or anything, I mean, designers too, when they get to this level of like, well, I am the best because I did this and this is exactly how I design. It just, oh, it doesn't land well. And so I think with everything, especially in whatever it is, like I have the same mindset, like I box too. I loved boxing because that is a sport that you truly, even if you're the best, you could still get better. There's no like, there's no stop. There's no end goal of like, oh, I reached this and now I'm the best person in the world for this. There's always room to get better and grow. So I know that even today, you know, my design skills and my creative skills are better than they were 9 years, 8 years ago when I started this 3 years ago. They're not anywhere close to what I'm going to be next year, in 6 months, 5 years from now, 20 years from now. I know that there's going to continue to be this path. And I think that having that mindset just allows you to always be growing, always shifting, always being open to new opportunities. And it also allows me that the opportunity to, when I look at a client and I'm working on a project, again, there, to an extent, it is my business, right? It is how I make money. So that is an aspect there. But if you just look at that, you lose something. And to me, every client, every project is different. Every person is different. So there's one opportunity to, again, develop my design skills even more because I'm working with a new person who has their own taste and their own background and their own budget. And I have to adapt and grow and learn there. So it helps me grow that part of me. But it also, on a business side, helps me encounter new experiences I may never have dealt with before, or communication, or developing my own like processes in my business based on something. So the mindset of just you are always learning, I think, is so important because one, it does make us more, I think, magnetic and open to opportunities to come to us, but it is continuing to help you grow and become the best in your respective field, per
Mm.
se.
Yeah, something that anybody, even if you're not in interior design, you can take that advice and apply it to any business, any profession that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big advocate of that is to always be a lifelong learner. You are nobody has ever arrived. And we are about to learn a lot today just because we're about to play a fun little game. And you guys, I'm actually really excited about this. So I've seen some TikTokers do this game before. There are some popular interior design TikTokers that are on, and they do this whole design X game. So we are going to do something very similar here on When Are You Free? This is our first game on the podcast. We need to have more fun. We need to have more fun. So we're doing a game. And who better to do it than Chelsey Meyer? She's a lot of fun, you guys. So Chelsey actually came up with the name for this game, but I came up with all of the content. And so
Oh,
she
I
has,
haven't seen anything.
yes, so she has no idea the photos that I'm about to show her. Some of them, some of them I'm sure she's going to hate. Some of them I'm sure she's going to love. So this is the game, you guys. It's called Splurge or Save. And she's going to let us know, should we splurge on this item or if we should save our money because it does not belong. I'm gonna be serious, but you're gonna be
We
like,
don't be serious. We're having fun. Everyone needs to have more fun.
you're gonna be like, what is
Also, no
this?
hate, no shade. If you like these things, I'm not going to yuck on your yum. Do your thing.
Yes.
Individuality. This is just what I would, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what Aaliyah shows me.
Everybody's your own individual, like she said. So if you like these things, continue to use them.
Mm-hmm.
This is just her opinion. The first thing that we are starting with,
I'm nervous while you're laughing.
maybe you'll like them. Etsy prints.
Okay.
Yay, nay.
Uh, well, like those specifically or Etsy prints in general?
In general.
Okay. Yay.
Yay.
I think that these are super affordable art options. You can do a lot that are like you buy the digital print, you can print it. So if you're looking for art for your home or your space and you want big, these is 100% yay. Stuff with words and like brands, I would stay away from. It's giving Airbnb, but you can find a lot of really great, honestly, original art on there and kind of mix and match. So it's great to do even filler pieces. I would much prefer you do this than just like go to Target and get, you know, mass produced art. So I would say yay with the disclaimer that it still depends on the prints that you're picking.
So try to go original if you can.
Yes, and think like, yeah, or like more abstract or interesting art, not just things that say like it's coffee time or what. I don't know. Like some you'd say, I can't even think of one that's so stupid, but like I think you get what I'm saying. Like I would,
yeah.
of these three, the cheetah one would be the only one. Then that's still, I mean, you could do something cool with that, but I would say no to anything else that's like a little bit more like that, tacky.
Vintage appliances. Do we hate them? Do we love them? We're looking at the fridge people.
Okay. Time and place again. I love them. I think, especially like I was saying, in a, historic renovation, are we pulling things into like a 1950s kitchen that we want it to look like it was there forever? Cool. If it's in just like a kind of rental granite countertop basic builder, probably not vibe. But I like them. I think that they're fun and interesting and different. So I would say yay.
These types of Etsy brands.
No.
Immediate. She said immediate no.
Yeah.
Immediate no. So no, like.
Try not to do the sets and stuff.
No sets.
Yeah. I think that's it's not the answer you're looking for the question that you're trying to answer. It's vague, but it's just not it. Just stay away.
The coffee table books.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No. These and sometimes it's these specifically, like where people have the Tom Ford, the Chanel. Do you hate it? Do you love it?
I don't love the Tom Ford Chanel vibe. I think in the right space that was designed all around that, you kind of get what I'm saying. There's like houses that are like that. That's not my personal style. I think I do love coffee table books. There's some really cool, interesting ones that you could find that are cooler to me than something like this. I think this is overdone. I think it's an easy answer. And if it's not executed correctly, which again, my design aesthetic and what my clients want isn't this, where it feels just like copy and paste. You had a designer come in and do this space. I think there's so many other cool books we could do. I think coffee table books, like the formula on a coffee table, we are moving away from that again. I think we're just trying to piece individuality into it. So if you are doing a coffee table book, try to do something you haven't seen before and move away from what feels like the right designer interior book or the right option, and just go more for your own interests. Like I've seen so many books out there that could be affordable, and there's definitely ways you can find some cool stuff. And I think that's, again, it's just helping us kind of come back to ourselves and our individuality. So yes, coffee table books, no big designer name coffee table books.
Appliances with gold fixtures. Yay, nay.
Nay.
Nay. Wow.
This was a big trend, but it was a trend. So we want to stay away from trends because that's what dates things. So I feel millennial gray, right? Everything was gray. Now we're kind of moving away, unfortunately, from like the white oak vibe, which was really big the last couple of years. Still beautiful, can be done correctly, but everyone's wanting more walnut and depth. And I think that when something is very trendy, it's going to permanently live in a certain time period. So I feel like millennial gray really shows when houses were built between like 2010 to 2018 or 2020, right? And then now we moved into the farmhouse era. And I think that this is that because, and also golds are hard to match. So a lot of times, and I've done this with clients years before, it is hard to match the gold tones, and everyone wanted gold hardware for a while. And I feel like that is going to date in a certain time period. So I think I would rather it be matching or red or black or something like that that feels a little bit more subtle, and it gives you also more room to do other things in the kitchen. You can you have more flexibility to pick other hardware and design things. I think this really just is a lot.
The LED furniture.
Oh, no, bye.
Oh,
Like built in? Yeah,
yeah.
no.
Okay. The immediate, this Justin Bieber immediate no is killing me.
No.
Okay.
Mind you, my teen boys have a very cheap nightstand that has LED in it, but they are about the LED. So like I have LED lights. They're great. You can do a lot with lighting. Lighting is very important, but if it's built into the furniture, I just think that again, dated timeline. Let's add cool lighting in other ways that feel nicer.
Do you feel like that's just like a Gen Z thing with this whole LED
Yeah, I
thing?
think
Yeah.
it's like you're 17. Like I
Yeah.
just yeah.
Not
Which is
grown.
okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Do it then. Do in college, young 20s, but I feel there just becomes a level where we need to elevate it. You can absolutely get the look and feel of cool lighting around that space. It just isn't that way.
Right.
And I also haven't seen any quality furniture pieces that have this, if that makes sense. So I do think it leans more into like the tacky,
Yes.
cheap
Yes.
era. Again, no hate, no shade.
This one's worse. This one's obviously
I would,
worse.
yeah, if I had a client, I'd be like, no, we're not doing, I can't
There's no
get
way.
behind that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old daughter would love this.
Right.
She would actually, because she wants LEDs.
This was a really big trend, and I think it might be making its way out. Some people think it's to stay, but the scalloping in general, the mirrors were really big. So, do you like the scalloped look with these types of things? Yes, no.
I don't hate it. I do think it was very trendy, especially the mirror. So again, if you've been listening, trends will date themselves. I I like a unique shape in the space if it's done right. Not everything can have the like scalloped look. I think
Right.
scallops in general are kind of on their way out, but I still want to have like different shapes throughout. So I don't hate it. I don't know if I would put a scallop mirror or like a mirror shaped like that in a client's home that wasn't young,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
like a kid or a teenager or college. But I think in general, it can be done correctly and it can still look expensive. It just depends on everything else that's going in the space. So I wouldn't want it to be like the main thing in there. But again, this goes against like I like to have things that are quirky. I don't know, maybe I would do a smaller mirror in that shape that's like a wall mirror and everything else is very expensive and maybe a natural color, not like a green. I don't know. It really depends. So I'm kind of on the fence.
If it like adds character, like if there's real purpose,
Yeah.
yes, but to just
But if your
plop it,
style
yeah.
is a lot, like if you have a room that's fully committed to like the maximalist has a lot of color, shape, quirky, weird, this works. This is really great. But I could see myself using something like this, not green, in someone's home that maybe leaned more like traditional conservative in terms of like furniture shape and material and high end, but they needed a little something that was fun and maybe we were doing wallpaper. I feel like this is a good step to kind of do something that feels a little risky
Yeah.
without like fully committing to wallpapering an entire room or spending, thousands of dollars on a piece of furniture that is weird to them, but I would advise more to do something like this over that.
Tile countertops?
Girl, I don't think anyone's ever asked me about these.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say no because it's just not something that is really being done, but I actually don't hate it. Again, I'm like in the right client with the right client in the right space could be really cool. Maybe you're inspiring me actually right now to bring this back because I kind of like that in a as an idea, as something to bring in. Maybe it's not your kitchen.
Wow.
Maybe it's like a bathroom vanity or a mudroom. But I think that's a cool way to bring in, again, something different that we haven't seen, which is what a lot of clients are trying to do, but they still want to be like in a safe
Mm.
world. Obviously, like the outdated from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we're probably changing it. And maybe I'll get hate for this. I honestly, truly, I don't even think I've ever thought about this till right now. So I might change my mind, but I don't hate it. Just to be real, a blue and white tile like countertop is not something I would have ever presented to a client. The idea of doing something like this with a different tile, that's actually kind of cool.
I think that is the end of Splurge or Save. You guys know where to spend your money or where to not spend it. So now, you guys, we have a little bit of a bonus round, and we're just going to get to know a little bit about Chelsey under the clock, a little bit of pressure. She's only going to answer like basically just like this or that. That's all that this is. So I hope you're ready. Minimalist or maximalist?
Minimalist.
Ooh. All right. Modern or traditional?
If I have, and I have to just pick one,
One.
traditional.
Cozy and layered or clean and airy?
Oh my God, this is so hard. Clean and airy.
Neutral palette. So think beige baby. So beige baby or bold color.
I'm having internal conflict. Is this like just for me, like what I feel personally, or just
Yeah.
like in general?
Yeah. Just for you. Not clients. This is you. This is you.
Beige, unfortunate, neutral.
She's a beige baby. Warm woods or cool metals?
Yeah.
I know.
Warm woods.
Warm woods. Love
Can
that,
we
actually.
I need to have an asterisk at the end of this and kind of
The
give some
stress.
ideas.
The stress. Marble or quartz countertops?
Oh, marble.
Okay. That was easier. That was easier. Okay. Sectional sofa or sofa and an accent chair?
Sofa and accent chair.
Hmm. Coffee table or an ottoman?
Coffee table.
Hmm. Statement lighting or recessed lighting?
Oh, statement lighting.
This is so controversial. Everybody has an opinion about this one. And actually, the TV above the fireplace.
No,
The way I didn't even say the or never, just a
I'm
me.
looking at you guys too. No,
No TV above your fireplace.
if that's an option. Sometimes it's not.
Okay, I'm actually making this one up on the spot because you've had such a strong opinion. Frame TVs or no frame
Oh,
TVs?
I don't have an opinion on
You
that.
don't?
Yeah, I like the frame as long as it's not like gaudy. It's
Uh-huh.
nice because it's flat. You can put art on it, but it's never gonna look like art. It's still TV, you
Okay.
know?
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. That was just that I had to know. I had to know. Okay, this is the last one. Really easy, in my opinion. Gallery wall or one oversized art piece.
Oversized.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I do some follow up on
Yes.
these?
Do your follow-ups.
Let me see. Let me see the iPad. Oh,
Please.
okay, minimalist. These are for me. I
Mhm.
think you can combine a lot of these. I was on the fence because I'm like you combine them, right? But
Mhm.
if I had to choose minimal, I would do things like clean and open, and then add those layers,
Mhm.
right? So modern traditional, I would lean more traditional in terms of like nothing that's too cutting edge, too modern. In my own home and my own designs, I mix a lot of these things. And I feel like a lot of my clients, especially if they're married, the man tends to be more modern leaning, she
Mhm.
tends to be more traditional. We're trying to blend the two, and so it is nice when you have these like softer, more feminine fabrics and silhouettes, but then you also have like a clean black metal something or like some clean lines throughout. So that's I want to just, keep my design stuff up here by saying all this. Cozy and layered, clean and airy. I don't like clutter.
Oh, okay.
We
Yeah.
definitely again want to blend things. You want the room to be able to breathe and feel like the energy can flow through. That has to be your baseline, and then we add the layers, and it can still be cozy. I feel like neutral modern can still actually feel cozy if done correctly with these added layers. Neutral palette bold. I say neutral because if you it's like a joke that like all my house all right now is like the same taupey color, which I
Mhm.
just painted my room like this taupey mauve, like everything, the bed is brown, but it's aggressive, like it's bold,
Mm.
but it is a neutral color. But I personally don't do like loud greens and patterns and
Mm.
reds throughout. I love that neutral palette, but we can really build drama while staying in that, but it's not boring.
Mm.
And it's not just beige everything, but I still think like committing, I don't know, it's fun. I like stuff. Warm woods, and I love a like silver or chrome piece right now. All of my wood, this is why I said in my house is a warm wood. It's very like walnut, almost mid-century color. Some is mid-century, but then I have like this huge metal lamp. Like I
Right.
love these pops of like chrome that, and this is a little trendy right now, but it's also always been around. So I feel like again, we always want to blend like the cool and the warm.
Mm.
So it's hard for me to pick either.
One
But
of
if we
it.
have to pick one, is like the base. That was my answer. I'm such a control freak that I have to like go through these and like
Like,
justify my
no, like 1
options.
second.
I love a sectional sofa. However, if it's your living room and you're trying to put a piece together, you have more opportunity to show your personality or do something cool with an accent chair or two accent chairs rather than just the sectional sofa. And they don't always work. Even if you want cozy, they don't always work in your space. So we need to keep that in mind. And I think that, oh, statement lighting and recessed lighting. I love recessed lighting, but we're trying to stay away from just like the ceiling lighting anyway. ADHD, like whatever. But
Mm.
we want a lot. And like what I was saying with the LEDs,
Yeah.
we can do a lot with lighting. Lighting's very important. It can make or break your space. So a lot of table and floor lamps, we're doing like the hue light bulbs where you can change the tones. We always want warm lighting.
Mm.
That really makes a lot. But you don't want all of your lighting fixtures to compete. You want to have items that support whatever your like main feature is. So if you have a beautiful, like if you have an open concept, this is getting really design era right
I
now
love
with
this.
the island and like let's say your living room's there and there's a dining room and they all have places for lights, right? We're looking at like pendant lights over the island. We have a chandelier over the dining table and then there's a space for a light over the coffee table. They cannot all be statement
Okay.
pieces.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How busy is that? Like we want to always play with where your eye is looking. So if you want this like beautiful statement piece over the dining room, then the island and the living room need to be more subtle and they need to support that. Like, cause you can't, you're still gonna have those hanging lights, but they can't like all be the same kind of light too.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
You guys, this was like so
that
funny
was
to me. I've never seen Chelsea's actually the most never pressed person ever. Like
yeah, I was
the most
stressed.
calm under pressure person that I know. And making her choose between warm woods and like cool metals is the most stressed I've ever seen her.
Ah,
Like that's insane.
tea.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. We needed that. And honestly, I kind of lived for that like completely. Now that we know all of like your preferences, we learned so many secrets just from that little segment. Can you tell just like the everyday average person is like, I can't afford a interior designer.
Mm-hmm.
What can someone do right now in their apartment, in their rental home, or just if this is their first home and they just don't have like anything, what can they do to upgrade their space
Mm-hmm.
right now?
Okay, immediately if you have the opportunity, paint. Paint makes such a difference, and I would not be afraid, like I mentioned, I hate an accent wall. To me, it shows like an unfinished thought. It shows a lack of like fear of commitment. And if you look at really well designed spaces, they're considering the whole space. So color drenching, which is painting the entire room, trim, door, like everything, one color, ceiling is in, and it is really cool. It is a lot of work, but for like $100, you could paint your whole room and have the whole thing feel different. So if you can paint, even if you're cleaning up your space and it's white and you need to do a touch-up paint, makes a huge difference. That will feel like a breath of fresh air in your space. But just kind of choosing a color, finding a color palette would be like secondary to that. And then start when you are kind of adding things in based on time or budget, work within that color palette. So pick, 4 to 5 colors, your main colors you're doing, and live in that world. That would be my immediate, you can change that. A few other tips is, and you guys can look this up online there. So is looking how your window treatments are hung. Are they hung too low? Are your curtains the right size? Hanging things from the ceiling and letting it just touch the bottom immediately elevates the space. And then also lighting. So where can you add table lamps? Where can we add floor lamps? You can find a lot of really cool pieces and then change the light bulbs to something warmer or something colored, and that changes the vibe. And I feel like those are ones free if you already have the curtain rods, like just kind of change it around that are affordable and can immediately shift. a whole space.
Mm. No, I almost showed you a picture of curtains that were literally like at the windowsill just to freak you out for our game.
No.
But
Yeah.
yes, that's the one interior design thing I do know. I was like, you should have like long curtains. Like,
My other
yeah.
advice is when you are hanging the curtains, make sure that you are putting the rod a good couple inches outside of, if you have the space of the window, so that when they're pulled open, you're getting as much of like the natural light as possible. It also is a really good way to eat up wall
Mm.
space. So if you are struggling with, what to hang on a wall or art, you can just kind of extend that curtain rod, do an extra panel, and they can sit nicely. It makes it look almost like you have a bigger window. You can do a lot of tricks with that. And curtains are definitely affordable. Amazon has
Mm.
great ones. You can kind of look, and you can bring color in that way as well. So
We all have no excuse now at this
yeah,
point.
it's okay.
Yeah, from this episode alone, things should be looking better. Things are going to look better in my apartment. You guys will wait and see. But you've told us all of the secrets to business, to interior design, but a lot of people that know and love you want to know like they're dying in the comments. They want to know, how do you manage to look as good as you do? And you guys are watching like on Spotify, you're watching on YouTube. This woman is so gorgeous. She looks like a Victoria's Secret model come to life. So can you please tell us your, like, I hate to ask, what is the workout routine? What's the skincare routine? Like,
Stop.
we kind of have to know. I hate to ask, but we have to know.
Aaliyah, so funny and so nice. Thank you. Girl, there's so many things. I feel like there's not one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not one thing that you can do to like shift. I think again, I go back to mindset, and we were talking off air about this a little bit, but you have to decide, right? You have to decide that you want to feel or look a certain way, or certain things that are important to you. So you want to have good skin, you want to not age, you want to, feel really good in your body or have a certain body. You have to decide that you're doing that. And when you make that decision again, you step into, okay, what's the next step? What do I need here? So I mean, I am definitely very active. I wasn't always active. I wasn't always like an athlete or anything. But this has become a top value in my life, is like physical
Mm-hmm.
health and wellness. And I like to feel and look a certain way. So what does that mean? That means I do have to, you know, be active. I do have to walk. I do have to take a workout class. I do have to eat well. I do have to sleep. So to me, again, just simplifying it of like what's the next step is easier than like seeing someone who has like this insane body and you've been like lazy for like years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I can never be me. Just deciding and kind of doing what's next. And then with anything else, I feel like it's the same thing. I think it's like, if I was gonna say, things to prioritize off the bat, again, it's like the design question of like, what can we do right now? It's make sure you're prioritizing sleep. Because if you look at sleep and how important sleep is, you look at everything else that can affect it. So, are you active throughout the day? Are you eating too late at night? Are you drinking alcohol? Which is another big thing that affects everything. How can we improve our sleep? And we all know someone who's well rested looks amazing. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's more things. You got it. Sleep, a good quality, consistent skincare routine.
Mm-hmm.
Big procedures and stuff are great. I haven't had anything massive, but nothing works unless you have the foundation.
Right.
And the at-home thing I've heard is, again, an experience. Like, you find what works for you, or see someone that you're like, I love what they look like, their skin, and just do what they do. But see if it works for you too.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Everybody is so big on, like, it's every single video that you see, like, how to be that girl. Like, I need to glow up, and like, we only have 69 days till summer. Like, everybody's pressed, like, and they're like, I want to look great, and I want to be confident, and I want to do all of these things. And internally and externally, truly, you are one of the most beautiful people that I know. It's not just about like her, because obviously you guys have seen the Instagram. Oh my God. We've seen the Instagram, and that's one part of it. So there's the external, which you're telling us, okay, you just have to take care of yourself. Like,
Yeah.
and a lot of people, sometimes they want the result and they don't take care of themselves.
Right.
But then there's also the internal work, like the confidence and the mindset. For you, where does that come from?
So we may not have mentioned this. I know I mentioned my age earlier. I am 37, so I do think that there is an aspect of age that
Mm.
comes when I've talked to, other women in like their mid 20s, and it's hard to compare because when I look back to myself at 25, I was like completely different. So there's one element of just like letting life happen, right? And learning and experiencing that. But there's the other elements of taking ownership for yourself, looking into mindset, manifestation, whatever it is, your own self care practices, being mindful of the people you surround yourself with. Are you gossiping? How are you behaving? There's a lot of those things I think that help with that, but there is truly an element of growing into yourself. And I think even now, like you're saying, there's such an emphasis on we have to glow up, we have to do this, we have to do that. When you're still so young, it's okay. Like you're not supposed to have it all yet. You know what I mean? Like I even me, like again, I think I was so scared to be 30 years old. Oh my God. Like I was so scared. Like I crisis, okay? And you look at pictures of me in my 20s or 29 versus now, I personally, everyone might not agree, feel like I look younger now and I
Mm.
feel younger and I'm more confident now than I was then. And I would not trade anything to relive my 20s. But there was a lot that had to happen, right? There was a lot of growth and I had to learn and unlearn things in my 30s. And I hear the same thing about 40s. People say like your 40s are the best, like as a woman. So I think with that, it's getting to know yourself. It is just like not caring as much about what people think. I hope I can mention talking off air about just like the pressure that society has on women and, the expectation that we are supposed to be beautiful all the time, right? We're supposed to not age. We're supposed to be this ageless, like beautiful forever. And then there's also when women do step into that and own that and want to be that and like being that, then they're criticized, right?
Mhm.
They're vain, they're conceited, they care way too much about how they look. But at the end of the day, like to look that way does take commitment. It
Yeah.
takes money, time, it takes, revolving your life around it. But then we're hated for that as well. And so there is this internal shift, I think, that is going to always be there. And as you kind of grow into yourself, you don't care as much because it's your life at the end of the day and like nobody else is you. And I had to learn that too. I feel like I was telling Aaliyah before, I remember when I was young, probably like 10 or 11, like seeing myself in the mirror and having this thought like, oh, I'm beautiful. And immediately there was some inner voice that was like, you're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to think that. Like that's conceited. And I carried that for a really, really long time. And I couldn't take compliments. And I really sought validation externally from everyone, especially like through my 20s. And of course, there's still an element where it does feel good to be complimented, right?
Right.
Or people to think, but it doesn't hold the same weight. And I do feel like it just matters. I like who I am, right? I
Mhm.
like how I look and I hold myself to a really high standard, not just with my like physical looks or whatever, with everything. And so I know when I'm slacking and I don't like that part. And so it becomes less about kind of again that end result of like, oh, I'm so whatever, I'm attractive and everyone, but it becomes more of just like who you are. And you
Mm.
don't think about that aspect as much because you just like the way that you feel and look.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's kind of a lifelong struggle. And I feel like as women, you're always going to, see some comment or someone's going to say something like, why do you care? Aging's beautiful. Aging is beautiful. But again, everybody has a different path and we're all different people. And there's different things that are important to different people.
Mm.
And you just got to look at what's important to you. And if you do value that and you do like to look a certain way, just do it. Do it. Do what it has to happen. Like, and don't care what other people say is best as you can,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, no, it's really hard, like how you said, especially like in these days with social media, because the pressures have always existed,
Mhm.
and this is the case with any cultural phenomenon. Is a lot of the time people are like, oh, like why is it so bad for women these days? Why is the world like this way? It's just everything is amplified because of social
Mhm.
media, including the pressures on women. It just whatever it has been, it's just amplified now with a megaphone and in front of your face 24/7. And so I love how you mentioned at the end of the day, you have to be confident in yourself, whatever you're pursuing, however you want to look,
Mhm.
what you see in the mirror and who you like internally and externally, that you have to be okay with that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard. And it comes like, I love how you said it comes with age. So it's like, if you're not in that space today, like you will be, it will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's like on a spectrum of it. I
Mm-hmm.
just think that I feel like we're always, and especially with social media now, and I know there's like this phenomenon where they're like Gen Z looks older than millennials, and there's different things like Gen Z, you guys have like way more access to products and proceed whatever, and we're all kind of looking the same age, which great for millennials, but I think that it's because we're all just seeing everybody at once. We were never meant to do that, and it's hard to kind of gauge who's who or what's what, and we're all trying to be what we think is like the ideal. It's the spectrum's there and you're pushing yourself, but as long as you're happy with you and you're doing it for you, right? Because you can always tell when somebody is, trying to look or be a certain way to gain validation versus someone you're like, wow, they're so beautiful and they have such a glow and confidence about them. And you can tell like they don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they don't even have to maybe be like the textbook objective, like beautiful person. But if they're themselves, you're like, there's just something about them.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, what like everyone's so beautiful now too. I feel like everyone is, especially women, like
Mm.
so beautiful. And the people who really stand out, there is just like that inner thing where you could tell like they might be objectively traditionally beautiful, but they don't care that you think that, right? Like it's just them.
Yeah. Okay. No. All right. Write that down. Podcast. I'm just, no, we have a few more questions, but like, amazing. So I want to also just talk about, because you are so many things, but you also are a mother. How do you make, because three kids, three beautiful children, by the way, but how do you make time to run your business, to take care of yourself, to go to your Pilates classes? By the way, I don't know if I can say Forza needs to sponsor you, by the way.
Oh,
Like, Forza needs to sponsor you. Like, I always in a Pilates class. How do you make time to do it all and still have time with your family and for yourself? Self-care is so
mhm.
important.
Girl, I definitely don't always feel like I am doing it all. And I think that there's an aspect where there was a time where I had to sit down with myself and say, you actually can't do it all, right? There's
Mm,
something at some point, especially me wanting to do everything to a certain level. It just sometimes in there you're not going to be able to. Like sometimes your house might be messy,
mm,
right? But you were present with your family instead and you got to work out. You might have a really clean house, but then like you had to, push off going out with your friends that week to get that thing done. I think that it's capable to kind of have everything, but maybe not all at the exact same moment, right? And that's how we need. So that helped me in that way. But I would say that doing it all, I'm very grateful for my life and I'm so happy. I'm truly so happy. But it's like you have to have this value system and you have to really know what is the most important thing to you. And to me, like my health is probably top. Obviously, like my kids are very important, but how can I care for my kids if I'm not healthy?
right.
Right? How can I care for them if I am, you know, physically ill? I can't. I'm a single mom. Like I, don't have a partner that's living with me, that's helping me in that sense. Like they of course have their dad and we split time, which helps a lot with being able to have time to myself and prioritize that. So when I look at that, it helps me in my day-to-day choose, okay, well, I also have to work, I have to make money. So in an ideal world, I am doing something physical every day because that's helping me age well. It's helping me be strong and helping me be healthier and more active and present with my kids because as I age and as women age, obviously we don't have the muscle tone and you don't have like the bone health. We age faster. So to me, that's like a non-negotiable is my health choices. So when it comes down to it, if I have to look at my day and something has to go, that's probably the last thing I'm going to move. And if I do move it, it's because I really had no other
Mm,
choice and something else that would affect the way that I could care for my kids. So we'll say I just really needed, which has happened recently. I've been really busy. I need more condensed time to work. And I look at, okay, well, if I don't go to Pilates this one day, I'll save 40 minutes in terms of driving time and then like the 50-minute class. And that's actually, if I stay home, I gain that much time to get this thing done so that I can get back to my routine and not only obviously like financially fund my children, but go back to like being able to have the lifestyle I want. So I think there's a level of really prioritizing the very top thing that you need in place to be able to do everything else. And when you have that, you just structure everything differently.
right.
So I make all my decisions based on is this going to help my kids essentially, right? So what does that look like? I'm invited to a birthday party on a Wednesday night, but I have like a really busy work week and I wasn't able to work out that week. Okay, I'd love to go. I would love to go. Interpersonal relationships are very important, of course. But when I scale back and I'm like, does this help move the needle, or how would this impact my family or my children? Okay, well, if I stay out too late, then I'm not going to get great sleep and I won't be as like mentally clear tomorrow for work and I probably won't work out as hard. And then I'll be stressed because I went to work out and it wasn't good and then I didn't get the work done because I could have used that time. So to me, I'm like, easy, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Like I would love to be there. I'll do something different. That's an easy no for me. And it's just getting very clear on that. And I think for me, like obviously my family and my kids are the most important. So what do I have to have in place for them, for myself? And that makes it so much easier to have your self-care time, to find ways that you're like, I feel drained and I have to recharge. What can I do now so that I can get back to being like the best possible parent for them? And we're not perfect. I definitely do not have perfect parent times and I have to, apply this constantly daily. These are choices. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of how I approach it.
Yeah, I love the age that we're in now, where a lot of women that are in your position, where they are very successful, and sometimes on the outside looking in, it's you have it all, which I love how people nowadays are like, yes, but not all at the
Mhm.
same time.
Mhm.
And I feel before with the girl boss thing that used to be really big years back, people would try to convince you you have to do it all and it's all right in this instance. And in the truth behind the smoke and mirrors was, yes, you can, but not everything's happening at the
Mhm.
same time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a system of trade-offs where sometimes I can pick this up, but in order to do that I have to put this down.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I love that honesty. So, one thing though that is really fantastic about you, and I just love how every time you say this, you always say that you are living the life of your dreams. And a lot of people don't feel that way. And I just wanted to ask you, do you feel with your career, your family, the lifestyle that you've curated for yourself, your inner work that you've done, do you feel like you've manifested the current life that you are living today?
Oh, okay. Yes, and well, yes. Yes,
Mhm.
I have manifested this. Am I at the point where I feel like that's my final manifestation? No,
Mhm.
of course. There's like
Mhm.
so many more things I would love to have, or I'm trying to get, or I'm working towards, or I'd love to have, so much more money or a bigger house
Mhm.
or more time. Like, but I know that again, not everything happens overnight. And when
Mhm.
I look at what has transpired in my business, in my personal life, my family life, the opportunities I've had, the travel, the things I've gotten to do with my kids, I mean, I wouldn't have I mean, it's everything I've ever wanted. And I think that we can definitely get caught up on what we don't have.
Yeah.
But when I look back at, I've been able to, live in this house that we've outgrown, but I love for 9 years, as long as I've ever lived in a house my entire life. And I got to raise my kids there, and it's on this perfect street, and we have a yard and a playset. And this is a life that I didn't have growing up. And when I was, 21 years old and I was pregnant with my first kid and I lived in an apartment, that was all I ever wanted, right? And I ended up getting it. And there's so many times I've taken that for granted, or I've
Yeah.
been like, this actually isn't enough.
Mhm.
I could have I want a nicer thing, when I'm like, oh my God, no, I actually like, if I was going to raise my kids anywhere, like this is what I've always wanted. And so that also takes like practice to reflect and just like have that gratefulness and realize that there's so many things. And I feel like we hear this quote a lot, like younger you would be so thrilled
Right.
at where you are now, but you're not happy with where you're at right now, right? We lose, once we hit a goal, we're like, okay, on to the next thing. We rarely give ourselves time to even enjoy that thing because we're constantly pushing for something more.
Mhm.
And so when I take a bird's eye view of my life, and I by no means have had what I would say is an easy life. Like I've had a lot of stuff. And even now I juggle so much and I have a great life. Like I love my life. I really have gotten to do so much, and the things that have come in, it's so fun. And it may not be perfect at all at any time. And there obviously is so much more that I'm working towards or would gladly accept into my life. But I think that helps me personally. Again, I'm someone who definitely looks at what's missing rather than what's there in
Right.
general.
Mhm.
And shout out Enneagram 4 if you know what that is. But yeah, I just, when I look at it, I'm like, I'm so blessed. Like I have three really healthy kids. We have a great time. They're great kids. And I got to spend so much time with them. I've, been separated, divorced for, I don't even know, 5, 6 years separation by myself with them. I haven't had like another co-parent. And looking at that, I'm so grateful of that time I got to be with them and like the version of me that
Right.
I was during that time. And I love my life, truly. I love all of these things. And I think romanticizing your life too, that was a big thing for a minute, is important. And this will be my last little tangent. I read a quote a couple years ago. This girl posted it, but it's from a book by Louise Hay. And she says something along the lines of, you can have the most beautiful experience imaginable living with yourself.
Mm.
And when I first read that, it's not the exact, I already know I butchered it, but I read that and it would just clicked where I was like, whoa, wait, I don't have to. And this is coming out of a divorce. So I was like, I have to find a partner and a stepdad and whatever. But it was like, I don't have to wait for someone to do all of these things for me. Like, and then when you look at it, you're like, okay, well, actually, I am the one that always makes sure I have the comfiest spot on the couch. I'm the one who gets my bed exactly how I want it. I'm the one that orders my favorite coffee drink and I know exactly how it needs to be. I'm the one that gets to do all of these things. And when you look at it from there, where you're like, whoa, I have this opportunity to love on myself and have the experience of life that a lot of us, I think, can kind of like push out to the
Right.
external and want like this huge romantic relationship. But when we look at it that way, we're like, wait, no, I'm already like, everything's so great. Like I take such good care of myself and I'm enjoying this so much that quote just changed my life. I mean, I just looked at everything differently. And so yeah, of course my life could be better in some ways and it will be in some way, like, but for now, I mean, it's still like the best possible life that I could be having for right now. And I'm so lucky because time goes by so fast that I've had the time I've had to be as present with my kids. Of course, I would love other things to be in place, but if I focus too much on that, I lose what's real and what's in front of me and my opportunities now. And yeah, I feel like I just keep saying, and yeah. So I'm like,
No,
that,
no, it's actually so beautiful, and I love hearing you talk about it because I feel like a lot of us need to try to adopt more of that mindset. It's really fantastic because obviously you're always striving for more. It shows in your work, it shows in how you live your life, but there's just such immense gratitude and contentment that you carry with you that a lot of us can glean from as well. So, speaking of the future
mhm.
and looking towards better as well, can you tell us what the future of Elliot Interiors looks like?
Gosh, girl, I wish I could. Elliot Interiors is something I think for sure I will likely always do. It definitely feels like my niche. Nothing else felt quite as right. All my other careers and things as this does. And I think in terms of where it's going, it's a question mark for me too. The vision I had for the company when I first started it has shifted so much to where I am now. And like I said, every client, every project is just an opportunity for me to learn more about the designer I am and what I want to do, as well as just the business side of it. I could say right now, like, what I would love to do, but I haven't done that yet. So I may not even like it. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, where I would want to go, and it might not be right. I think I would love to just be in a place where I'm taking on my dream projects that I explained, and maybe there's less projects at a time. But I also feel, and we didn't touch much about this, like, I started my business working with a lot of people at very low rates that love design or need help, but they can't afford a designer, or they felt like their scope was too small. And a lot of designers don't take those on. And that's how I built a lot of my business. And I don't offer that like service consistently. And I've been looking at trying to figure out a way how to do that because that was some of the best times, the best work. And I'd love to still work with people, even though I work at a luxury scale. Like I'm saying, like you don't separate. Like
Yeah.
there's still people that I'm still that girl that loved design but like didn't have money and like couldn't do it. In a way like I still, if I had endless funds to design my house, would be so different than now. And I love problem solving and I would love to have a consistent service that is able to work with people who just need that help and based on time, scope, or budget, can't get a full designer and just bring that back in. So it's not anything big, grand, huge, like thing going. I just kind of am going to keep doing my like day-to-day clientele. I think ultimately down the road, I would love to be kind of doing my own renovations and, selling them and have a brand around that. Not necessarily like a builder, but people would recognize, like, oh, I know a designer did this house and staged this house. And I love doing furnishings and styling, and I'd love to be doing that more consistently within my world as well. But that's a lot of different things. But I feel like I've worked on flips before, but not my own. And that's where my normal answer would be. But again, I've not done that. So I can't be like, this is exactly, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
feel like I'm probably going to change my mind because I do change my mind a lot. But that's the point.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. Well, oh my gosh. Well, can you tell everybody, or I can tell everybody, like where they can find you, like find your designs, find your socials, all of that?
yes. So, Elliot Interiors, two L's, one T. ElliotInteriors.com is my website. If you are wanting to talk more about a project or have any questions, there's a nice little inquiry form there that's really nice. Just fill that out. Elliot Interiors on Instagram, all together, ELLIOT, and you can send me a DM there as well. And yeah, that's the best route.
Fantastic, you guys. That will also be linked in descriptions on our Spotify, our YouTube, if you want to connect with Chelsey, which I'm sure that you do after listening to this episode. So, Chelsey, I just want to thank you so much. I really wish that we had like 17 more hours because there's so much that we can learn. And she will be back on. That is just a promise to you guys and a plea to Chelsey. Like, please come back on. I really feel like I learned so much from this episode, not only about interior design, but so much just as a businesswoman and as a woman in general. And so I hope that you guys did as well. You guys, I just love doing this every single week. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join me on this corner of the internet and listening to us yap all day. But I think that Chelsey and I have said it all. So we will see you next time on When Are You Free? Bye.